Welcome back to another episode of Level Up Your Game. My name is Rip, and with me today again is MYK and True.
No one's ever done anything like this before.
That's why it's going to work. Boom! Alright, so last week, it was last week I guess, we talked a lot about the system mechanics of Tekken 6, and we left out a couple things, so we're going to cover those in this episode. We're going to talk about stuns, we're going to talk about punishing moves correctly, and we're going to talk a little bit more about notation, a couple things that were left out, and then we're going to get right into the new characters. So maybe you haven't played Tekken 1, maybe you haven't played since Tekken 5, right? And maybe some of you guys haven't even played since like Tekken 3. Regardless, there's a whole bunch of new characters, there's 40 total, so we're going to try and knock out 2 at a time. And this week we're going to cover the 2 newest characters, Lars Alexanderson and Alisa Bosconovitch. So, with that said, kick back, relax, and get ready to level up your game. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the difference between tapping and holding a direction. When you see a direction online for, say, up forward, if it is in lowercase, that means you have to tap the direction of up forward. If it's in uppercase, that means you have to hold the direction of up forward. So for Law, this can be easily seen by his up forward 4. So if I tap up forward 4, which would be a lowercase UF, you would get this move, which is his generic hop kick. If it was uppercase with capital UF plus 4, then it would be his flip kick. Now the third instance of this is up forward neutral 4, which would be that. And so basically there's a neutral between the up forward input and the 4. And that up forward would be also a capital UF since you have to hold it. And finally there's an up forward tilde 4 or an up forward comma 4, both capital letters, which looks like this. Next we're going to talk about full crouch moves. Full crouch moves are performed basically when you're crouching. So you're holding down back or you're holding down or down forward. And you can see your character's crouching. Now from this position, when you hit an input of any attack, it's basically going to be a different attack than if you were standing. So these are full crouch moves. So some characters have special moves that they can do from full crouch. One of those for Law is a slide. So this can only be done from full crouched. The next thing I'm going to talk about is while standing moves. While standing moves are attacks that are input while transitioning from crouching to standing. So basically while crouching, when you let the controller go back to neutral and input a button, you get a while standing attack. And these are of course different than moves from full crouched and standing. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and move on to a little bit of frame data with punishing. And we'll let MYK cover that.
Alright, so basically every character in this game, their fastest move is 10 frames. And basically when you're blocking something that's -10, it means that you're getting that 10 frame move for free. So there's slightly worse moves as well, some moves that are -12, -15, and you all get a different punisher for each one. And Bruce is a great example for this. So
and so really quick, basically you said some moves are like more minus, and that's basically based on their risk reward, right?
Yeah.
So if some move does more damage, then usually it's also more punishable.
Yeah. Usually.
Generally,
yeah.
Right? At least that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we'll display it here. Miguel's down forward 1-2 is -10, and then Bruce's 10 frame punisher would be 1-4-3, which is all a natural combo, which we discussed in the first episode. There you go, natural combo. He couldn't block it. -10 move, I get a free -10 punisher.
Interesting.
So we'll display a -12 move now, which is Miguel's down 1+2. And also you saw here that I got a knockdown as well and also did slightly more damage. So, there's no point of doing a 10 frame move. You can still get that 10 frame move in that -12, but it would be a better choice to go for your 12 frame punisher here. And then we'll display Miguel doing his twin pistons down forward 2-1, which is -15 on block, which usually means that a large amount of the cast can launch -15s, and Bruce's here, it would be up forward 4 for a hop kick. Show it here. And you could follow up with the juggle, get real big damage, you know, it's the best option.
So the risk reward for that in both characters would be they're both going for a launcher basically. Miguel's going for a launcher, and since he misses it, Bruce is going to get a launcher back at him.
Yes, generally it's like that, but there are a couple moves that are like hot kicks and stuff like that. Like Bruce's hot kick is only -12.
Right.
Certain moves like that, but you know, like Miguel's twin piston, you know, it's a little more useful than hop kick in terms of with punishing, since it has so much more range and stuff like that. So obviously something like that is going to be a little more punishable.
Right.
So we're going to discuss here full crouch punishers. Generally, everybody has somewhere around 11 to 12 frames for while standing punishers. Generally 11 frames. Some characters have a little worse, like Eddie and Zafina, which have 12 frames, but you'll get to that later. And we'll show it here. Miguel's down 4 is 12 frames, -12 on block. All Bruce gets is a while standing 4, which is 11 frames, and we'll display that here. And then if it gets a little worse than 12 frames, Bruce actually has a 13 frame while standing punisher, which is while standing 2-1, and then we'll show it here. And then, you know, he has that, so if he gets a free knockdown, and he also gets a free follow-up hit after that, it's, you know, a much better idea to go for that while standing 13 frame punisher.
So those two Miguel kicks were different, right? They look kind of the same.
The first one was down 4, which is -12, and the second one was down back 3, which is exactly -13.
Got their leg.
Oh, I see.
And then we also have something like, you know, Miguel's, I don't know, down back 4 we could try. And then we could hop kick that, since, you know, it's really bad on block.
-17.
-17, like you said. So obviously, since it's an up forward move, you can still get that from crouching as well, since it's a jumping move.
All right. I think that pretty much covers all of the basic frame data and punishing, right?
Yeah, basically, if your character has a better punisher for something a little worse, you might want to go for that if it gives you more damage.
Sounds good.
All right.
So I guess we'll go ahead and talk about stuns. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is stuns. The first stun we're going to be talking about is the gut stun, aka minor stun on Tekken Zaibatsu. So here we have Al, and he's going to be using Nina, and he's going to perform a gut stun on Yoshimitsu. In most cases, if you get hit by a gut stun, it's going to lead to a juggle. To break the gut stun, you need to hold forward. Now, as you can see, you don't have a lot of time to react to this, but it's going to be crucial if you want to avoid getting launched. The next type of stun we're going to talk about is the nosebleed stun. The nosebleed stun can be avoided by holding down. Just like that. So can we see it once without holding down? And in that situation, Nina's probably going to get a free launcher. Alright, so those are the two breakable types of stuns. Basically, every other type of stun in the game is not breakable and leads to free damage for the other character. So here we're going to have Nina demonstrating her counter it forward 3. That kind of a stun is unbreakable and leads to free damage. So there you have it. So let's go ahead and move on to our first character. We're going to go with our character expert for Alisa Bosconovitch, and luckily he's part of our crew. True! True. And so with that, I'm going to let Al go ahead and talk a little bit about how he thinks Alisa should be played.
Alisa's movement is actually very, very good. She's got one of the best backdashes in the game, and it's one of the furthest too. And also her sidestep is actually pretty well compared to the rest of the cast, that is. But yeah, her movement is great. Backdashing is super far, and forward dashing is actually pretty fast too. Fast and far.
Alright, so let's go ahead and go over Alisa's punishers.
For 10 frames, her best punisher is 1-1. Which does 30 damage. And then she doesn't have an 11 frame punisher, but most characters actually don't. So let's skip over to 12 frames. Her 12 frame punisher is down forward 4, which does 15 damage, as you saw right there.
Wait, really quick. So the 10 frame punisher does more than a 12 frame punisher?
Yes, it does.
So you're pretty much always going to want to use a 10 frame punisher.
Yes, in most cases.
Up to 12, right?
Up to 12. Now let's move on to 13 frame punishers. Her 13 frame punisher is standing 4, which does 28 damage, and it knocks down and able to wall splat. Now let's move on to 14 frame punishers.